Hello, my name is Carlos, and this is the first video on this channel. And I never thought that I would be making a video on this channel, but today's video has a very specific purpose, and it has been a result of many of you asking a lot of questions in social media, especially Facebook, in regards to my setup and how am I able to take the long exposures that I am achieving with what many consider a starter or entry level rig. So I'm just gonna go through how I put everything together, all the little tips and tricks that I've learned over the past few months. There is no script here. I am just doing this spontaneous. So the first thing here is, and the first thing I want to show you is how the whole rig kind of sits together. And I'm talking about the telescope. You can see that there's a red dot finder on top, or a red dot sight, whatever you want to call it. But I took this from a paintball gun, and it's been very useful to me. You can turn it on. Yeah, so you can see the light. And basically that already has been aligned with the telescope. Let me turn it off. And it has already been aligned with the telescope. So wherever I point this light, that's basically what's in frame. So that was one of the questions that a lot of people asked. How do you find your targets? Well, that's how. But this works with my ASIAIR Mini. This has a great tool called Annotate. So on your screen on the left side, when you take an exposure, you can press that Annotate, and it's going to basically show you what it's looking at. It's going to label it for you. So that's how I kind of just go around and find my targets, using first the site to give me a rough estimate of where I am, and then I use the ASIAIR to guide me there, and then just make the manual adjustments. So the reason it looks like this also, right? So you see the ASIAIR is in the front. Also, my guide scope is in the front. So this is an SV Bony, I want to say 30 millimeters. I do not know I can't remember the specs on it. And then this is the ASI 120 Mini guide camera in the back. When I took my setup apart, I didn't want to take all of this apart because this was already focused and aligned with the sight and aligned with the telescope. So I do not want to move this. So I left it on. But if you take a look, it's put together, it's attached to a plate, and then that plate is attached to the bracket. And it's a simple thing. I'll leave the link below where I got this plate. It was on Amazon, and also the bolts that I use. So that's the bolt right there, the plate, and then I bolted the ASIAIR from the bottom, and the guide scope I bolted it from the top, but it has like some type of flange there, and basically I'm able to just hide the screw, or the screw is able to just sit flush, so it doesn't affect the fact that the ASIAIR is right on top of it. So the main reason for this, for why I made the choice to mount this at the front, I tried different things. I tried mounting it up here, but then it took away this capability. Obviously I can't mount this at the bottom because I can't see anything. So I also watched a video where the person that was putting his rig together, he mounted it at the bottom, and he explained that it's all about balance. So think about it. You're gonna have scope right up here, and then you're gonna have a camera in the back. So this whole rig is gonna be about probably like this big. There's going to be weight in the back, and you need something to counterbalance that at the front. So that's why I decided to mount the ASIAIR and the guiding setup up front and at the bottom. So I didn't get this right the first time. I tried many different things, and I wound up with this setup, and I will not move away from this because this is already dialed in, and even the way this collar right here where it sits, you can loosen up these bolts and move this forward or backwards. Originally, I believe it's all the way at the front. The way it comes in from the factory, it's all the way at the front. I had to move it towards the back to create that balance. So anyways, it is this works very well. It creates a very balanced setup, and that's what really helps with guiding. This isn't magic over here. This guiding setup, it's not magic, right? You need to help it out, especially with the kind of mount that I'm using. So you have to help it. You can't just have an unbalanced rig and then just hope for guiding to solve your problems. It's just not gonna happen. You have to provide a stable platform for it to do a very good job. So that's it for this. The next thing is the scope that I'm using. This thing is the best thing that I've ever purchased. This is the William Optics RedCat 51. This is a 250 millimeter f4.9. There's a lot of reviews out there in regards to this scope. Actually, there's a lot of them in regards to version 1. This is version 2. And I didn't know that until I got it, that it looks different from the first version. I'm not gonna really get into the differences. Maybe I can do another video, a quick video about what the difference are between version 2 and version 1, but there's quite a lot of them. But anyways, this is very small. This is pretty compact. It's got some weight to it because it's got 4 pieces of glass. So, but you open this up. By the way, this has a button-off mask in the front. You know what? Let me open it. Has a little kitty in the front. And there it is. So this is awesome for focusing. So they did such a great job integrating this into the cap. So this is all aluminum build, so very durable. Okay. This dew shield comes off. And there it is. And then you flip it and attach it to the front. One of the main differences between this and version 1, and that I think the only thing that I'm going to talk about in regards to the differences, is the way you lock the focus. So this is your focusing ring. I am not going to move it around, but in the version 1, there's an actual ring that you can actually lock it to, or tighten it to lock your focus. This one is in the dew shield. So the dew shield, when you tighten it, that's when you lock your focus. I've learned to cope with it. Not my favorite thing, because when you try to tighten this after you focus, it moves everything around. And this is the main reason why I polar align up to 3 times. Because when I focus and I'm ready to shoot and I lock my focus, when I go back and check, the polar alignment is off. So, and it's mainly due to this, because the minute I try to tighten it, everything moves. So that's one of my challenges with this setup. but I've learned to adapt to it, and to be honest, it's fine. Double, triple checking my polar alignment. That is one of the key factors to taking long exposures, and that's just being polar aligned. So I don't think there's anything else to cover here. I'm actually gonna put it on the bracket and then go from there. So loosen this up to the side, and then this just sits there very nicely, and then you tighten it. Okay. Very neat looking, very organized, and very functional. So this, as it is, it's not balanced because it still needs the camera in the back. So the next thing is the camera. And boy, this is really good. And this is the ZWO ASI 533 MC Pro. It's got the square sensor. I know a lot of people don't like it, but some people love it, like me. But it is a great camera. This is a cooled camera. You can tell it's not huge. It's got a little bit of weight to it. I already have one of the adapters screwed in. So, but it comes with a couple of different adapters. Actually, I use a filter drawer, and without it, I forget how this goes. Anyways, without it, these two go together, and they basically go screwed into the back of the telescope. But I don't need this anymore because I have a filter drawer that basically makes up for this ring. So put this away. There it is, the square sensor. It's a beauty. Put a cap on, don't want to get it dirty. And so that goes in the back of the telescope. The way it's powered, I used the ASIAIR to power it. It is the only thing that I power out of the ASIAIR. I want all the power that the ASIAIR is putting out to go only into this camera. And again, this it's a cooled camera. So I really just don't want to mess around with just lack of voltage, not enough voltage getting to the camera. I just don't want to run into those issues. So the ASIAIR is connected to, it gives power to the camera and nothing else. Okay, so I am going to install the camera, but before I do that, I'm going to go into one of my favorite parts about this rig, and that is the filters and the filter drawer. So this is a filter drawer. This is the ZWO FDM42 filter drawer. That's what it says here. It comes with this little ring here. It's an adapter. I can take it off. There it is. That goes in here, and that's able to now screw it into the back of the telescope. So it comes with all those adapters. So actually, I think that's the only adapter. But the point is that you don't need to go out and and buy an adapter for your scope. So, right, this comes out. This is magnetic, which I love. And I know it's sometimes a little bit hard to get it. There you go. Yeah, it just sits there. So I made a little mistake. When I showed you the camera, this was attached to it. Okay, bear with me, guys. I've been doing this for 6 months, okay? I am by no means an expert on this, but this was attached to the camera. Well, that doesn't go there, okay? This is what goes attached to the telescope. And then the camera goes directly attached to the filter drawer. Makes sense, but Rookie mistake. So let's, there you go. So these threads are for this adapter, because this fits the telescope. Screw this in. Tight. Now, go to the back of the telescope. And then you put this on. See, good thing there wasn't a filter there. Anyways. Okay, that's there. And then the camera goes in the back. We'll not to drop this. There it is. So as you can see, oh, my ring got cut up. As you can see, this thing grew quite a bit. And the pivot point for this whole thing, it's right there. Right in that hole there. And that's where it's gonna go, attached to the mount. You got the weight in the back of the camera and the filter drawer. The filter, you know, every gram matters. So to get this thing balanced. So, I mean, even just looking at it, this thing looks balanced. You have all this weight at the front, and then you have the weight of the camera in the back. And then this sits right in the center. So the scope, the sight sits right in the center. So that's pretty much the rig. Put the cap on, put this on. The other thing, now that I just put this on, the other issue that I run into when I am focusing is, and this will happen to you as well, right? So you first polar align your mount or your rig, and I try not to get it, you know, perfect the first time, because I know I'm gonna go back and change it, but I want to be in the ballpark. So when you're gonna go and focus, this has to go on, and it's a tight fit. So naturally, when you do this and you put it on, it's gonna move the whole rig. Your polar alignment's gonna be thrown off. So, and same thing when you take it off. So it is crucial that you polar align before you focus and after you focus. And sometimes I end up doing it a third time before I take my first picture. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a tight fit for this cap. It's got this, it's kind of like tape inside to keep a good seal. But yeah, it's definitely inconvenient when it comes to putting this button-off mask on to focus. So there's the rig. And now we're gonna talk about the filters, actually. Filters. These things. Everybody likes to talk about these things. Everybody has questions about these things. Which filter should I use? It's I would say I can make an entire video about it. Many other YouTubers have made videos about this. They've gone deep into the details. These are, I believe, some of the most popular filters. So this is the Optolong L Pro and the Optolong L Extreme. They're not cheap, but they do a very, very good job. I haven't had much experience with the L Pro because I don't use it too much, but I do use the L Extreme a lot. In fact, 99% of the time, I'm using the L Extreme. And with the simple reason is that it's either, when we have clear skies, the moon is out somewhere. Somewhere, you know, that has been my experience here in Jersey. You know, it's clear, the moon is out, 50%, that's still pretty bright. I was out the other night, finally got a really clear night, the moon is out. And it's like 3/4 of the way. So this thing just blocks all that moonlight. In fact, I was out 2 nights ago, with a full moon. And actually, I took a picture of the rig in the moon in the background, and that thing was just bright. It was like a flashlight in the sky. It was just lighting up the whole sky. But this thing was able to block all that light out and collect a lot of data. This is part of the reason I'm able to take 10-minute exposures with this rig. And I know it's crazy that I'm able to take such long exposures. But this thing blocks so much light. It's such a dark filter. I have to actually, I found out I can't take it off when I am focusing. I don't know if it's because the camera is focused on this. I'm not sure why. I'm still looking into it, and perhaps if someone can answer that, that'll be great. But if I take this off to focus, which I have to, because otherwise I can't get those diffraction spikes. What I do is actually I replace it with, this is just a UV IR filter from Optolong, yeah, from Optolong as well. So I put this on, and then I just go ahead and focus, and then swap to the L Extreme, which is one of the great things about having a filter drawer, because you can just do that without having to unscrew anything. So I'm not gonna take out the L Pro or the L Extreme. Actually, I just did. I'm gonna use the UV IR. This thing is clear. If I have better skies, I would so use this. This would be so awesome. And but I'm under bottle 5, and yeah, it's pretty bad. Try not to put your fingers on it. There it is. Okay, then that goes in there. Boom, done. This thing is a game changer. Before, when I didn't have it, again, I had to unscrew the camera. It's worse with a DSLR. But yeah, this is just makes it so much easier. So definitely, I believe it's like $50 for it. So yeah, this is a must. Look, if you're gonna spend all this money, right? $50, right? Just get one if you can, right? If you have a DSLR, you need an adapter for that, obviously. But with this setup, all the adapters are there, and this is ready to rock and roll. So I am gonna go over now the subject here of, this is the reason why I'm making this video, and that's because when I post the pictures on social media of the jellyfish nebula, I mean, that was the thing that blew my mind away, because I had never achieved something like that. Like, I took 20 hours total integration time with this setup, and yeah, there were 300-second subs, and yeah, I was able to collect a lot of data, and that thing came out amazing. So that was 300 seconds, and then a few people, I think it's like 3 to 5 people that sort of questioned whether I'm real or not while I'm here. I actually did it. I was able to achieve 5 minutes, and I had this one person that actually just, you know, went all out in social media to the point of making making claims like, oh, there's no way, you know, you should have gotten trails on your stars. There's no way this is, you know, your picture is not real, or your setup, you're lying about your setup. Why would I lie about my setup? But that's just people, right? So that was a 5 minutes. When I decided to take 10 minutes, forget it. I mean, people went nuts. But I think I had a more positive response from the people when I took 10 minutes exposures, and that was very encouraging. And that's the reason I do it. I do it to show people that, hey, this is possible. Okay, this thing right here, this is it. This is a Skywatcher Star Adventure 2i. This is it, guys. This thing, it's what many consider an entry-level star tracker or mount, and it is. It's relatively inexpensive, you know, and it's like 450 bucks, sometimes 500 bucks. But this is what beginners are supposed to be buying. So I'm a beginner, so that's what I bought. I didn't go into a go-to mount. I couldn't afford one. And also, they're all out of stock. There's those things, they're just not in stock. I believe High Point Scientific is supposed to have them sometime in May. So if you're getting into the hobby, actually, these are in stock. This is the cap in the back. This is the scope for your polar alignment. That's where it comes out of. That's where you look through. This thing has been a challenge, but it has worked. Okay, 10 minutes subs with this thing, guys. It's achievable. Now, this comes with this bracket that sits in here. For those of you that already have it, right, you can skip this whole part, but it sits there, and then basically you can ride this to the point where you're balanced. One tip for this thing is mark where your rig is relatively balanced. So when you take it off and you put it back on, you know where to set it. I didn't know that at the beginning, and it took me a while to dial it back in. So there's the little red mark, and basically I just aligned it with the screw on the side, and that should be fine. Then this comes with a counterweight. This is the counterweight. Okay, one thing about this. Put this down. If you notice, this counterweight is not pinned to the end, to this washer right here. It's got a little bit of room. That's also one of the things I believe it's helping me achieve these long subs. I still have room. I am not pushing this mount to where it's gonna work very hard. This thing is not working hard at all. This rig right here weighs exactly 8 pounds. This is 8 pounds. At the wires on top, you know, whatever, it might be 8.3, 8.4 pounds. But that's under the 11-pound limit for this mount. So that's why this weight, it's not pinned all the way to the end, to where the washer is. And that was one of the things that was one of my goals. I did not want to have a rig that was too close to the limit, so I could take advantage of the actual mount, and the mount wouldn't have to work hard. And in my mind, if something doesn't have to work as hard, then it might be a little more consistent. That was just a theory. I know, again, I am a total beginner at this. It was just a theory. My experience with, you know, just working with different types of equipment, and it seems to be the reason why this thing is so stable. And it's because it's 8.5 pounds, I think, the most. This counterweight isn't all the way to the end. I see people that buy the extension for this, or buy a second counterweight. Again, if you're able to get good results, then, you know, hey, that's good. You know, I I wouldn't want to go there. I feel like if I have to add a second counterweight, that means that it's so heavy on top that I can imagine that has to be pushing the 11 pounds. With a little bit more to go, I think if I go to 10 pounds, this might just, I might need to get an extension or a second counterweight if I go above 10 pounds. So the fact that I'm able to keep this stock just the way it came from the factory, I think it's a good sign of how stable this thing is, and that it's just not working so hard, and therefore it's a little more consistent. And all of that plays into having good guiding, and it just helps the guiding. Again, it just helps. It's all these different components that come together and work together to achieve a stable platform and be able to take long subs. So that is my one piece of advice, and I've shared this all over social media, and I keep preaching it pretty much. Have a stable setup. If you have a stable setup, you'll be able to achieve great images. You'll be able to track better, more accurately, so you can take longer subs. So this goes attached to the end. I still can't believe it that this thing is pushing 10 minutes subs. I wonder if I should do 15 minutes. Oh man. See, that messed me up now. Now I want to try it. 15 minutes. I've seen people even doing 20 minutes. You know, obviously much more expensive gear, you know, go-to mounts and all that, with almost like perfect guiding. Stay tuned. I might come back and say, hey, you know, people thought it was impossible, 10 minutes. You know, they kind of just threw the hat and were like, you're out of your mind. And, you know, here we are doing 15 minutes. I don't know. I might just crash and burn even at 12 minutes. I don't know. But it's just fun. This stuff is fun. So here's the actual mount. The telescope goes mounted up here. And I think it is time that it's time to show you the tripod and the wedge where this goes mounted to. So this is the tripod, and the wedge, I repurposed it. So I see that bolt at the bottom. I found a bolt in my garage, and it was the same threads as the wedge. So I was able to put, and it was the right length. So this thing is weird because there has to be a specific length. Like you don't have like a long travel with the bolt. Like when you screw that in, it's not gonna travel a long way. So the threads have to be the right size, and the length has to be also the right size. And I just happen to have that bolt in my garage. And yeah, tried it on. This thing is rock solid, doesn't go anywhere, and it just worked. So that's how I retrofitted, repurposed this this tripod, and then just put the wedge on top. This wedge is horrible. Not horrible, it's challenging. I'm really trying to choose my words carefully. So but it's just the way this thing is built, and I mean, this thing sits or slides in here, and then when you tighten it, the whole thing kind of just shifts to the side, and that's how it tightens. You know, I know there's another wedge out there that I think William Optics was the one that made it. That's way better than this. But again, guys, this is a stock mount. I mean, the wedge is the original wedge. So as horrible as I say it is, apparently it's pretty good because I'm able to take really long exposures. So it works. You just have to work around it. You have to work with it. And it's just, yeah, it's just finicky, and it's just weird to work with. But especially this knobs right here for your fine adjustment. Oh gosh, you know, so I found that, which one is it? It is this one. When I tighten it and it hits this one over here, and you tighten this one, and then you are polar aligned. Well, you can't push this one too much because it will push the other one the other way. But this needs to be tight. So this is the little trick that I use. I adjust this, I over adjust with this knob past the point where I need to be on the circle. So the start passes, I can't even measure it. I just call it a little bit. And then when I tighten it, and I tighten it pretty good, it comes back and it sits right in the middle of that line. That's how I polar align. Again, it's not perfect, but I work with it. I learned to manage it, manage the flaws, but make them work. So that's another little tip there, guys, how I'm able to polar align. And maybe some of you are frustrated that you can't get a good polar alignment, but that's how I get it done. I overcompensate, or I overshoot the spot, and then when I tighten the knob, it comes right back and it sits in that circle. It took me a while to get it down, but if you do it enough times, you'll get it. This whole thing has been a project on its own, just setting it up, because there's so many little things that are off that when they compile to a bad result. But if you start addressing all those little things that are wrong with this mount, then you're compiling all those errors, right, or all those flaws, and as you're fixing them, then your end result is getting better and better and better and better. I mean, it's common sense to me, but anyways, that's the way I approach it. So I'm gonna put these things together. I'm gonna put them on the tripod, and then the cabling starts. That is, to be honest, not my favorite part, because it's just, I think it's too much. Actually, let me grab the cables. Here they are. So I have, oh my goodness, spaghetti here. Okay, so I have the heat straps. Ooh. One for this one is for the guide scope, and then this one is for the main scope. And this is the cable, the USB that goes from the USB-C that goes to the USB 3.0. Yes, this goes to from the guide camera to the ASIAIR. Right, so that's that. Again, these are the heat straps, and this is the power adapter that I use to power the entire thing. I'll leave the link below also. This I bought this on Amazon. This just plugs into the extension cord that I have on the tripod. That's what I do. I use an extension cord that has 3 USB outputs and a couple of just regular AC outputs. So yeah, that I'll connect this to it. This powers the ASIAIR, and then the ASIAIR powers the camera. Again, that's the only thing I connect to the ASIAIR. These heat straps are connected via USB. You can see them here. If I can get them. Yeah, really? Okay. Here, USB. They connect to the actually there's a mating side that has the controller, so low, medium, and high, and each one has its own controller. I always set it up a high, connect, and then just connect them to the extension cord. Again, I'll leave the links below for these heat straps. They're the same one. I know they sell shorter ones for the guide scopes, especially the tiny ones. But I don't know. This just works for me. Yeah, and I have some redundancy, right? Yes, I want to prevent fog from forming on my guide scope, but if that ever fails, that strap fails. Actually, no, if my main scope strap fails, I'm just gonna take the one from the guide scope and put it on the main scope. They're the same size, so same size straps. So some redundancy there. Okay, so that's that. I try to keep all these cables off the rig. I don't like the extra weight on the rig. I like to keep the weight off the rig. So all of this is gonna sit at the bottom on the tray, or I'll just strap it to a leg in the tripod. I'm not too concerned about cable management. My real concern with cables is that they stay out of the way and that the mount is able to rotate without any interference from the cables. That is my main concern, not cable management or having very neat cables. Although I've seen some crazy pictures out there, people, the way they, just the way they organize their cables. I mean, it just looks amazing. And I wish I could do it. I can probably do it. I just don't want to. But yeah, some of you have some amazing cable management on your rigs, and just know that when I look at them, I melt. I really like it. I get a kick out of it. I just don't want to do it myself. Anyway, so I'll connect these last, and then there's another cable bundle, and that is the USB cable for the camera, right? So this goes attached to the back of the camera. This goes to the ASIAIR. This goes to the back of the guide camera, and this goes to the mount, right? So these are the ST4 cables. So one of the things that I try to do, and I've done things with sound and dealt with sound. I'm a musician also. So one of the things that I've found out, and actually it's common knowledge, it's that sound cables or data cables don't mix very well with power cables. And you know, if you're running AC current and you have these cables together in the same bundle, you might have some, these cables might induce some interference into the data cables. And I don't know if that happens here also. I have no clue, but because I know that happens with sound, I try to just keep the two separate also. So this is all power here, this is all data here, right? And then this little bundle over here is all data. So these things are separate from these things. This is all power. I mean, I don't think it makes a huge difference, because at the end of the day, they're still right next to each other. They're just not bundled in the same bundle. Like this is a bundle right here. This is another bundle, right? Well, it's a single cable, but I don't bundle power with data. Might make a difference, might not. I don't know, someone out there might know the answer to this. If you want to share, please share. But yeah, that's my kind of method of managing cables around the rig. So I think we are ready to put this thing together. One more thing that I want to mention, and that is that I will be making another video, a follow-up, a continuation of this video, where I'm gonna go outside and, you know, take some pictures, and I'll show you how I set up the tripod. I'll set up how I do the polar alignment, how I find the target, all of that. That's the juicy stuff. I just thought that this was also very important, because the success out there comes from this setup over here, the setup part, taking your time with this, addressing all the little issues, that's the I believe the key to success, a successful night, and that is the work that goes on indoors, prepping your gear. I haven't taken apart my setup in a while. I leave it even in the same position, and what I end up doing, and this is, I was describing this to someone on a trying to write it on a comment, and it's just so hard to do. But when you rotate this thing, so let me undo the clutch. When you rotate this thing, or let's say you just finished imaging a target, and let's say it's left in this position, but your starting position was here. Just do it like this. It was here, for example. I'm gonna mark that position in the back. So I'll look for the 0 on top. And where's that 0 pointed at? What is it marking? Is it the 10? Is it the 5? Is it the 1? Like, what is it? Where is it pointing at? And, or what is it aligned with? And I write that down. So if I'm doing multiple nights, my starting point is gonna be there. So, I mean, if it's 2 weeks apart, still, it's gonna be in the neighborhood, right? Because, you know, things are moving, so, or things are shifting as the year progresses. So, yeah, take advantage of that, and that will save you a ton of time. That's how I really find my targets. So I'm currently shooting the Rosette Nebula, and I have 10 hours on it. My goal is 20 hours, and I've been able to do 2 nights. I want to do, if I can get another 2 more nights, then I'll be able to hit the target. But the way I do that is I mark it. And you know, my starting position, I don't remember where it is. I have to go look for it, where I wrote it down. But you know, my starting position with the Rosette Nebula is somewhere like this. Let me see if I remember. Actually, I believe it's 1.5. I don't really remember, but I know it starts off like this, right? And the scope is facing that way, south, right? This is facing this way, north. That's facing south. So whatever that reading is, that's where I start, and you'll find your target and be able to frame it very quickly. Within minutes, you can do the whole thing. So that's gonna I'm gonna explain more of that on the next video. And I think I'll have to make another video on, oh goodness, now you see, now I'm engaging in YouTube. So I think I will have to make another video on how I process my images. Again, I'm just learning from YouTube videos and what people already do. So I've taken many videos and I've kind of compiled it into my own processing technique. But I can share that with you, and I am by no means an expert at this at all. It's just I think the images look pretty good, and some people out there might benefit from it. So anyways, so that's probably another 2 more videos. Let's finish this video. Okay, so we're ready. So here I have the wedge, and I'm gonna mount the put the mount on, and then the scope and the whole assembly on top of it, and then put all the wires in it. So let's start by putting this thing on. Simple. It's just slides there, tighten it. The whole thing just moved by like 1/2 inch. So when I tightened it, like it shifted sideways. It is what it is. Okay, so got the mount here now, and then let's put the scope. Remember that I use this hole right there. That's basically the pivot point now for this whole rig. And I played around with this. Sometimes, I mean, I wound up even using this hole right here, but this is the one for this setup at least. So this goes there. Okay, it's not on. I unlock this clutch, and this whole thing is able to shift or swing, actually. Actually, let me move this. Ooh, this thing just got a little heavier now. Okay. All right, so now it's just putting the cables. So let's see how I do with this. Okay, I've only put this rig together once the way it is right now. I haven't taken it apart. So this is gonna be the first time that I've actually taken it apart and then attempt to put it back the way I had it and still be balanced and all of that. So this is definitely a first and it's gonna be quite an adventure. Okay, so all the cabling is done. It's not the prettiest, but it is functional. This is pretty much how it looks. It's not, I mean, it's not bad at all. But you can tell it's only these cables go into the rig and they just sag all the way down here, which is exactly what I want. I want this thing to have no resistance at all, you know, when rotating. I don't want these cables to get in the way. So they don't get in the way. This is pretty much the same setup I had. So let's see how we do with the balance. But before I do that, I actually just want to explain a little bit of how this thing is put together. So again, you have these two USB cables attached to the ASIAIR. One of them goes to the camera back here. The other one goes to the other camera, which is the guide camera. I have this ST4 cable, goes from the camera all the way down to the mount. And then the mount is powered by USB. So just cable attached to it. I'll leave a link also for this cable. And that's just attached to the little extension cord that I have at the bottom that literally just goes to the wall. So I mean, to an extension cord, a very long extension cord that goes to the house. Other than that, power to the camera, right? It's back here and runs all the way to the ASIAIR, that side. Let's take, right, very important, let's take the caps, both of the caps off, because again, this is not, we don't use this when we're actually taking pictures, right? So we take away everything and just have it as if we were going to take images, right? So the cover came off from the camera and the covers from the scopes. Okay, so put all of that away. Also, key thing is make sure there's a filter in here, right? That adds weight also, and believe me, it will add weight. Even if it's a small amount, it will throw your balance off. So the way it's balanced is as if I was ready to shoot. So I think everything looks the way I would use it. Okay, let's check the balance. So undo the clutch, tilt this way. Oh, keeps going. Wow, it's very small. Stopped. Okay, so check here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, guys, it's already balanced. Tiny little bit. So it's a little heavy on the top. So I'm going to bring it down ever so slightly. That might have been it. Let's try now. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Look at that. All the way. Make sure the cables are not interfering with the balance. Yes, they're not. Yeah. Look at that. Any position. Spoke too soon. Yeah. just adjusted the counterweight like very slightly. Yeah, I mean, it's never gonna be in this position, but it will start. I think the lowest will be probably here, and then go all the way up to here. So as long as it's balanced in any, so slight. Yeah, nice. Cool. So it is balanced. The other thing I want to try out is, what if I move it like this? Is it still balanced? Yes, it is. Well, I wouldn't move it because it's gonna hit, the camera's gonna hit the tripod. I would never have to go that much. So let's say this way. Yeah, so if I keep moving this way, right, it's gonna hit the tripod. The tripod is right here, so it's gonna hit that. So typically what I'll do is, if I'm gonna shoot something that's up that high, I will flip this actually the other way, and I will route the cabling through the front and then have it guide this way like that, and that way it's not gonna hit anything. So that's another thing that you can do. But anyways, it is balanced. It is ready to go. I believe I did not move the focusing on the guide scope, so I think I should be okay, but I will double check that before I take any pictures to make sure that my guiding is good. And I know I definitely moved the focusing here on the main scope. So I think that's pretty much everything. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comments. If you have any suggestions, anything that I'm not doing right, feel free to leave a comment below. Again, I've been doing this for 6 months. I should probably stop saying that. It's probably like 7 months now, but I am not a professional and I don't have a ton of experience. But what I've been able to do is I've been able to educate myself fairly quickly in regards to this hobby, and be able to progress fairly quickly. I mean, I started, actually I have it right here. I started with a DSLR. This is actually the DSLR that I started with, and I ended up doing a mod on it. So this camera is modded. It is very heavy too. This is a Canon 7D, so an EOS 7D. With this lens, I also used the kit lens, the 300 millimeter, and that's how I got my first pictures. And actually, this was what I used prior to this rig up here. So I used the mount and this thing attached to it. So yeah, I did progress, from a DSLR, to a dedicated Astro camera and guiding and all these things. In fact, the last thing I bought was actually the camera. So I had the DSLR back here, even when I had guiding and I had the RedCat 51 and all of that. So I hope this video was useful. I'm sure it's pretty long, but hey, it's hard to unpack all this information and just do it in like 10 minutes or so. It's just so difficult. And again, I didn't have a script. I'm just here rambling and just having a conversation with you guys. So I hope this was useful. And I'm creating a website and a Facebook page also. It's called Stars Over Jersey. And it's the same name as the channel. But I want to get started with that. I want to get some traction on the website and be able to display images. I have also created some documents. The one document that it was basically my processing document, and everything that I did to separate the channels. And again, this is a one-shot color setup, a one-shot color camera, and I was able to separate the channels into to make O3 and H alpha, and basically combine them together and all of that. So that's all in the document, and I've shared that over social media. I will leave a link to that also down below, so you guys can access that. There's two versions of it. One, I've kept the images in the original TIFF format, so that means that you can zoom in and still see the original details. And then the other version is the lighter version that uses JPEGs, and that one you can download it on your phone, and if you need a quick reference or something. But the images are obviously not as good as quality as the TIFF files. But that document with the TIFF files, it's like, I think it's like 300 megabytes, something like that. So it's pretty big. And then the one with the JPEGs is like 100 megabytes. So make sure you check those. Make sure you subscribe. Again, this is my first video here on this channel. More will come, and the more questions you ask, the more I'm happy to address them. And if I don't know it, I will look for the answer. I don't know it all. I won't pretend I know it all, and I won't tell you something I just don't know or haven't experienced. So I think that just wraps it up, and I'm gonna just stop talking because I'm a little bit under the weather. So yeah, I'm done. Clear skies.